In Premier League Round 24, Brighton and Hove Albion welcome Everton on January 31st with kickoff at 3 p.m. as both teams meet in an important league fixture. Looking at recent head-to-head meetings between Brighton and Hove Albion and Everton, the last 5 encounters show a very balanced picture. Brighton have recorded 1 win, 2 draws, and 2 losses during this period. The 2 most recent matches both ended in 1-1 draws, highlighting how evenly matched these sides have been. Overall, their recent history suggests closely contested games with limited separation between the teams. Based on weighted averages from the last 10 matches, Brighton and Hove Albion and Everton show very similar underlying performance levels. Everton hold a slight edge in weighted average points and concede marginally fewer goals over full time. Goal-scoring numbers are nearly identical for both sides, both at full time and at halftime. Overall, the data suggests a closely matched contest, with Everton showing a small defensive advantage and Brighton maintaining comparable attacking output. Examining the strength rating trend over the last 10 matches, Brighton and Hove Albion generally maintain a slightly higher rating than Everton across most fixtures. Brighton's values fluctuate around the low to mid-1500 range, showing periods of recovery after dips. Everton's ratings remain more volatile, with several declines and brief rebounds. Overall, the trend indicates Brighton displaying marginally greater consistency, while Everton experienced sharper swings in recent performance levels. The radar chart comparison highlights recent performance differences between Brighton and Everton across 5 key metrics. Brighton hold a clear advantage in ball control and show slightly stronger goal scoring and attacking efficiency. Everton, however, rate marginally higher in defensive solidity and intervene recovery, indicating a more reactive defensive profile. Overall, the radar suggests Brighton favor control and structure, while Everton rely more on defensive actions and recovery. Based on recent head-to-head meetings between Brighton and Everton, along with both teams' latest performances and underlying trends, we can outline the expected match outlook. By combining historical matchups and current form indicators, the model estimates a 47.3% probability for a home win, 26.6% for a draw, and 26.5% for an away win. These probabilities reflect data-driven analysis rather than match recommendations. Taking into account the recent two teams' performances, we can outline the most likely score outcomes. Based on these combined data signals, the model identifies the top 5 projected scorelines. 1-1 is 12.4%, 1-0 is 11.0%, 2-1 is 9.56%, 2-0 is 8.09%, and 0-0 is 7.63. These probabilities are purely analytical estimates derived from historical and recent performance patterns rather than match recommendations. Premier League Round 24. It's a massive afternoon kickoff at 15 o'clock as Leeds United prepares to take on Arsenal January 31, 2026. Historically, Arsenal has dominated this fixture, winning all of the last 5 meetings against Leeds United. The recent record is particularly tough for the home side, including a heavy 1-4 defeat just 160 days ago. Across these matches, Leeds has struggled to contain the Gunners' attack, conceding a total of 15 goals while managing only 3 in return. Leeds faces a massive uphill battle today. Analyzing the recent form, Arsenal holds a clear advantage with a 2.1 weighted average points per game compared to Leeds United's 1.55. The Gunners also lead in offensive output, averaging 2.2 goals per match. While Leeds maintains a tighter defense with a lower goals against average of 1.26, Arsenal's fast starts averaging nearly a goal in the first half could prove the deciding factor in today's contest. Looking at the performance trends over the last 10 matches, Arsenal maintains a significantly higher strength rating, consistently hovering above 1,700. In contrast, Leeds United has experienced a steady decline, dropping from a peak of 1,500 down to 1,455.18 in their most recent outing. This widening gap suggests that while Arsenal remains stable and elite, Leeds is struggling to find form heading into this matchup. The radar chart reveals a fascinating tactical contrast between the two sides. While Arsenal excels in ball control 6.86 and goal scoring 7.0, Leeds United actually holds the edge in defensive solidity 6.11 and intervene recovery 7.5. Interestingly, Leeds also shows higher attacking efficiency despite having less possession. This suggests a match where Arsenal will likely dominate the ball, while Leeds focuses on a resilient, high-pressing defensive strategy. Based on recent head-to-head meetings between Leeds United and Arsenal, along with both teams' latest performances and underlying trends, we can outline the expected match outlook. By combining historical matchups and current form indicators, the model estimates a 15.23% probability for a home win, 20.04% for a draw, and 64.73% for an away win. These probabilities reflect data-driven analysis rather than match recommendations. Taking into account the recent two teams' performances, we can outline the most likely score outcomes. Based on these combined data signals, the model identifies the top 5 projected scorelines. 0-2 is 9.9%, 1-2 is 9.76%, 0-1 is 9.38%, 1-1 is 9.34%, and 0-3 is 7.62%. These probabilities are purely analytical estimates derived from historical and recent performance patterns rather than match recommendations. Wolverhampton hosts Bournemouth on January 31, 2026. Both sides are ready to battle for crucial points in this highly anticipated mid-season clash. In their recent head-to-head history, Bournemouth has held the upper hand against Wolverhampton, winning 3 of their last 5 encounters. Wolverhampton has struggled particularly at home, suffering a narrow 0-1 loss and a high-scoring 2-4 defeat recently. While Wolves secured a 1-0 away win nearly a year ago, their overall record of 1 win and 1 draw highlights a challenging matchup against the Cherries. Recent performance metrics suggest Bournemouth holds a slight competitive edge, boasting a higher weighted average of 1.3 points per game compared to Wolverhampton's 0.96. While the Cherries are more prolific offensively, averaging nearly 2 goals per match, they remain defensively vulnerable with a high 2.02 goals against average. Wolverhampton appears more balanced defensively, but they will need to capitalize on Bournemouth's open backline to secure a result today. The strength trend data highlights a clear gap between the two sides heading into this fixture. Bournemouth has maintained a consistently superior strength rating, generally staying above the 1460 mark. Conversely, Wolverhampton has seen a noticeable decline from their peak of 1,407, currently sitting at their lowest point of September 1363. This downward trajectory for Wolves suggests they are lacking momentum compared to a more stable Bournemouth squad. The radar chart comparison highlights distinct tactical styles for both clubs. Bournemouth excels in goal scoring 6.82 and intervene recovery 7.88, showing a high-intensity, clinical approach. Wolverhampton maintains superior defensive solidity 6.09 and significantly better ball control 3.52 compared to Bournemouth's low 1.6. While Bournemouth possesses the more potent attack, Wolves' ability to retain possession and defend stoutly could neutralize the visitors' offensive threats. Based on recent head-to-head meetings between Wolverhampton and Bournemouth, along with both teams' latest performances and underlying trends, we can outline the expected match outlook. By combining historical matchups and current form indicators, the model estimates a 29.79% probability for a home win, 25.67% for a draw, and 44.54% for an away win. These probabilities reflect data-driven analysis rather than match recommendations. Taking into account the recent two teams' performances, we can outline the most likely score outcomes. Based on these combined data signals, the model identifies the top 5 projected scorelines. 1-1 is 12.01%, 0-1 is 9.21%, 1-2 is 9.11%, 1-0 is 7.6%, and 2-1 is 7.34%. These probabilities are purely analytical estimates derived from historical and recent performance patterns rather than match recommendations. Premier League Round 24. Chelsea welcomes West Ham United to Stamford Bridge this January 31, 2026 at 17:30. Chelsea has largely dominated this London rivalry, winning 4 of their last 5 meetings against West Ham United. Their most impressive performance was a commanding 5-0 home victory nearly a year ago. Although West Ham managed to secure a 3-1 win in their most recent encounter last August, Chelsea's overall historical record remains strong, outscoring the Hammers 16-5 across these 5 highly competitive fixtures. In terms of recent form, Chelsea holds a significant advantage with a 1.66 weighted average points per match compared to West Ham's 0.95. The Blues also boast a superior offensive record, averaging 2.07 goals, while maintaining a more solid defense. Interestingly, West Ham tends to start faster, leading in first-half goals 1.06. However, Chelsea's overall consistency and scoring power make them the favorites in this matchup. The strength trend over the last 10 matches indicates a clear gap between the two London rivals. Chelsea maintains a significantly higher strength rating, consistently staying above 1,560, despite a slight cooling off from their peak of 1,625. Meanwhile, West Ham United has struggled to find consistency, fluctuating at a much lower level near 1,440. This disparity suggests Chelsea enters the derby as the far more stable and dominant side. The radar chart highlights a tactical divide between the two London sides. Chelsea exhibits clear dominance in ball control 7.92 and goal scoring 7.0, reflecting their possession-based, high-scoring style. While West Ham United trails in attacking efficiency, they show resilience in intervened recovery 7.5, outperforming Chelsea in defensive disruptions. This suggests that while Chelsea will likely dictate the tempo, West Ham's ability to break up play remains their strongest asset. Based on recent head-to-head meetings between Chelsea and West Ham United, along with both teams' latest performances and underlying trends, we can outline the expected match outlook. By combining historical matchups and current form indicators, the model estimates a 69.25% probability for a home win, 18.85% for a draw, and 11.91% for an away win. These probabilities reflect data-driven analysis rather than match recommendations. Taking into account the recent two teams' performances, we can outline the most likely score outcomes. Based on these combined data signals, the model identifies the top 5 projected scorelines. 2-0 is 11.34%, 1-0 is 10.61%, 2-1 is 10.02%, 1-1 is 8.94%, and 3-0 is 8.75%. These probabilities are purely analytical estimates derived from historical and recent performance patterns rather than match recommendations. Anfield prepares for a massive Premier League Round 24 showdown. Liverpool hosts Newcastle United on January 31, 2026, at 20 o'clock. Expect an electric atmosphere as these two giants collide under the lights. Historically, Liverpool has enjoyed the upper hand against Newcastle United, securing 3 victories in their last 5 encounters. Their most recent meeting resulted in a convincing 4-2 home win at Anfield. While Newcastle did manage a narrow 2-1 away victory in late 2024 and fought to a thrilling 3-3 draw, Liverpool's overall dominance and consistent scoring record make them the clear historical favorites. In this match, Liverpool enters with a clear statistical advantage, boasting a 1.87 weighted average points per game compared to Newcastle United's 1.48. Offensively, the Reds are far more potent, averaging 2.17 goals while maintaining a tight defense that concedes only 0.93. Newcastle struggles to match this output, averaging 1.48 goals. While the Magpies are competitive, Liverpool's superior efficiency at both ends makes them the favorites. Analyzing the strength trends of Liverpool and Newcastle United over their last 10 matches, we see a compelling story of shifting momentum. Liverpool has shown impressive resilience, rebounding from an earlier dip of 1,500 to reach a recent high of 1,578.14. Conversely, Newcastle has struggled for consistency. After peaking at December 1588, their rating has slipped to 1,549.38. This gives Liverpool a slight psychological edge heading into this high-stakes encounter. Based on the radar chart metrics, Liverpool shows clear dominance in ball control 8.45 and goal scoring 7.54, reflecting their offensive threat and tactical control. Conversely, Newcastle United edges ahead in intervene recovery 7.59, highlighting their defensive resilience. While both sides share similar attacking efficiency, Liverpool's superior defensive solidity and overall dominance likely give them the upper hand in this highly anticipated clash at Anfield. Based on recent head-to-head meetings between Liverpool and Newcastle United, along with both teams' latest performances and underlying trends, we can outline the expected match outlook. By combining historical matchups and current form indicators, the model estimates a 53.51% probability for a home win, 24.02% for a draw, and 22.48% for an away win. These probabilities reflect data-driven analysis rather than match recommendations. Taking into account the recent two teams' performances, we can outline the most likely score outcomes. Based on these combined data signals, the model identifies the top 5 projected scorelines. 1-1 is 11.3%, 1-0 is 10.13%, 2-1 is 10.11%, 2-0 is 8.63%, and 0-0 is 6.04%. These probabilities are purely analytical estimates derived from historical and recent performance patterns rather than match recommendations.